I have to be honest. The moment I saw Ethan Lovett risking absolutely everything to break into the Port Charles Police Department evidence room, my jaw literally hit the floor. I wasn't ready for that level of sheer, unadulterated desperation. We all knew Ethan was hiding something massive from Ava Jerome, but orchestrating a high stakes infiltration just to tamper with and swap out secure DNA samples, that changed everything. I keep thinking about the sheer panic that must have been coursing through his veins to make a move that incredibly reckless. He already took a bullet to the physical body to protect Ava, and now he is risking years in federal prison just to alter a biological profile. This is not just some casual secret to protect his pride or his ego. This is raw, unfiltered survival. This is a man who is terrified out of his mind that an absolute monster is going to discover Phoebe is his biological daughter. I can't help feeling that we are currently standing on the edge of one of the darkest and most explosive reveals in General Hospital history, and I am both terrified and completely obsessed. I have to admit, this storyline hit me incredibly hard because it completely recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about Ethan Lovett and his connection to Delilah and Phoebe. Think about the long, complicated history here. Ethan has always been a survivor, a charming grifter with a heart of gold, but he usually operates with a cool, calculated head. Seeing him sweat, seeing him visibly shaken and pushed to the absolute brink by the mere shadow of this unknown father breaks my heart into a million pieces. He is doing whatever it takes to keep Phoebe safe. When you look back at all the times he deflected Ava's intense interrogations, the times he flat out denied being the father while bleeding out on the gallery floor, it all makes terrifying sense now. He wasn't rejecting Phoebe. He was building a massive fortress of lies to protect her. The emotional weight of a man sacrificing his own claim to a child, allowing everyone to think the worst of him just to keep her hidden from a dangerous predator, is phenomenal television. It shatters all our expectations of Ethan being a selfish rogue. And then we have the unstoppable force that is Ava Jerome. I understand why she is pushing so hard to uncover the truth, but maybe I'm being unfair when I say I just want her to back off and leave it alone. Ava is relentless. She is like a bloodhound on a scent, fiercely interrogating Ethan, refusing to let his delirious confession go, and threatening to run her own secret DNA test. Part of me loves her tenacity because she is driving the plot forward with incredible fierce energy, but another part of me is screaming at the television screen, begging her to stop digging. She has absolutely no idea what kind of hornet's nest she is kicking. If Ava keeps digging into the mystery of Phoebe's biological father, she is going to draw the exact attention Ethan is willing to go to prison to avoid. The tension between Ethan's desperate cover-up and Ava's ruthless investigation is giving me anxiety in the best way possible, but I am so incredibly scared for what happens when the truth finally spills out and the wrong person hears it. Now, let us talk about the giant, menacing elephant in the room. The entire fandom is screaming about Hudson. Everywhere I look online, people are absolutely convinced that this mysterious, powerful new business executive who just arrived in Port Charles is the big bad wolf. And look, I get it. The timing of his arrival is almost too perfect to ignore. Hudson debuts, Ethan immediately panics and has to flee, and suddenly we have this looming threat of a highly dangerous man looking for someone specific in town. It is so incredibly easy to connect the dots and assume Hudson is the monster Ethan is protecting Delilah and Phoebe from. The guy practically oozes menace, power, and hidden agendas. It makes total logical sense that a wealthy, connected villain with vast resources would be the one Ethan is so utterly terrified of facing. But guys, what do you think? Because if you ask me, Hudson is a massive, deliberately placed red herring. I genuinely wasn't expecting that to be my conclusion when he first showed up. But the more I sit and think about it, the more it feels like a classic General Hospital misdirection. They are handing us Hudson on a shiny silver platter. They want us to look at this obvious new villain and project all our fears for Phoebe onto him. I love the suspense this storyline is generating, but something still bothers me about the Hudson theory. It is just too clean. It lacks that devastating gut punch of betrayal that makes for a truly iconic soap opera reveal. I think the real father is someone who has been hiding in plain sight, someone we would never ever suspect, someone who already has our trust. That brings me to my first wild theory, and I need you all to hear me out before you call me crazy. What if Phoebe's biological father is Doctor Tristan Roberts? I know, it sounds absolutely unhinged at first glance. Tristan just debuted as this brilliant, promising new surgeon at General Hospital. He is clashing with Britt Westbourne. He is laying down strict hospital rules, and he is playing the part of the arrogant but ultimately good-hearted doctor to absolute perfection. But guys, I keep thinking about how General Hospital loves to twist the knife into our hearts. How many times have we seen a handsome, seemingly upstanding doctor walk into those pristine hospital corridors only to be revealed as an absolute psychopath hiding a horrifying double life? We have a long documented history of wolves in sheep's clothing wearing white coats. If Tristan is actually a deeply dangerous man, a master manipulator who ruined Delilah's life and forced Ethan to go on the run to protect an innocent child, that would be a legendary, jaw-dropping twist. Imagine the shockwaves that would ripple through Port Charles. He is saving lives in the operating room during the day while secretly hunting down the child he intends to claim by night. It would perfectly explain why Ethan is so utterly terrified. A monster who looks like a monster is one thing, but a monster who looks like a savior? That is pure, unadulterated terror. I honestly can't decide if the writers are brave enough to pull the rug out from under us with Tristan, but if they do, I will be the first person to stand up and applaud. It would make his entire rivalry with Britt Westbourne so much darker and more sinister, knowing he is capable of unspeakable things behind closed doors. But wait, because there is another theory that has completely taken over my brain, and this one makes so much logical sense, it actually scares me to my core. Am I the only one who is looking very closely at Detective Joe Fitzpatrick? Yes, Joe. The cop, the guy investigating Jen Sidwell, the guy executing search warrants, the guy working right there in the heart of the PCPD. When this thought crossed my mind, I literally had to pause the show, stand up, and walk around my living room to process. Think about Ethan's actions very carefully. Why did Ethan break into the PCPD specifically to swap a DNA sample? If the father was just some random billionaire executive like Hudson, Ethan could just take Phoebe and run, or hide the DNA anywhere else. But what if the father is a cop? If Joe is Phoebe's biological father, Ethan's desperate break-in suddenly becomes the most logical, terrifying, and necessary move in the world. Joe has unrestricted daily access to police databases. He has access to the evidence room, to DNA files, to everything that could expose the truth. Ethan didn't just break into the PCPD to hide a secret. He broke in because the wolf is already inside the house. I can't help feeling that Ethan realized Joe was getting too close, or that Joe might run a routine test that would accidentally flag a familial match. Ethan is literally running out of time, trying to outsmart a seasoned detective inside his own precinct. That is the kind of high stakes, sweat-inducing drama that keeps me glued to the screen every single day. I understand why some people might think making Joe the villain is a massive stretch. He has been portrayed as a dedicated, hardworking detective trying to figure out the missing evidence, dealing with the fallout of Sidwell, and just doing his job to protect the city. I still think that making him the secret father would be a stroke of absolute narrative genius. It is the ultimate betrayal of public trust. A police officer who is secretly a dangerous, abusive man from Delilah's past, it adds a horrifying layer of systemic terror to Ethan's plight. Ethan can't just go to the cops for help to protect Phoebe, because the cop is the ultimate threat. Maybe I'm being unfair to Joe's character and his history on the force, but the puzzle pieces fit together so perfectly that I simply cannot ignore them. This is exactly where I am completely tearing myself apart as a fan. Part of me desperately wants to believe the Tristan theory because an evil manipulative surgeon is such a delicious, classic soap opera trope, and Dean Geyer would absolutely crush a villainous turn. I can already picture the chilling, dead-eyed smirk when his mask finally slips off in front of Britt. Another part of me thinks the Joe Fitzpatrick theory is narratively superior because it perfectly, flawlessly explains the specific mechanics of the PCPD break-in and the urgency of the DNA swap. I honestly can't decide which direction I want the show to go. I am bouncing back and forth between these two brilliant ideas, and it is driving me absolutely crazy. It is so frustrating to have these amazing theories and absolutely no confirmation, but at the exact same time, I am loving every single agonizing second of this suspense. Let us take another moment to just fully appreciate what Ethan Lovett is going through right now, because the psychological toll must be staggering. I have to admit, I haven't always been his biggest fan in the past. He could be selfish, he could be arrogant, and he often looked out for number one. But this storyline has completely and utterly redeemed him, in my eyes. The sheer panic in his eyes when he realizes his past is catching up to him is palpable. He is essentially giving up his own right to be a father to Phoebe, letting Ava and everyone else think he is just a deadbeat or a liar, all to maintain the fragile illusion that protects her life. It is a quiet, agonizing, beautiful sacrifice. He is carrying the weight of this massive, dangerous secret entirely on his own shoulders, and the isolation he must feel right now must be soul-crushing. And the mechanics of the DNA swap itself! Guys, do you realize how incredibly risky that was for someone who is already on thin ice? One wrong move, one security camera he missed, one officer walking down the wrong hallway at the wrong second, and Ethan goes straight to Pentonville for years. He weighed the massive risk of federal prison against the risk of this unknown man finding Phoebe, and he chose to risk his own freedom without a second thought. That tells us everything we need to know about the biological father. Whoever he is, whether it is Hudson, Tristan, Joe, or someone else entirely, he is a man capable of such profound cruelty and violence that Ethan prefers a cold jail cell over letting him anywhere near that little girl. We are watching an absolute masterclass in tension building, and I am entirely here for it. But I have been talking for ages, and I desperately need to know where you all stand on this explosive mystery. Am I the only one feeling this way about Hudson being a giant glaring distraction? Guys, what do you think? Are you buying into the Hudson hype? Or are you on board with my Tristan or Joe theories? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like we are in for a massive, landscape-altering shock that none of us are truly prepared for. Do you think General Hospital is going to pull the rug out from under us with a completely different name that we haven't even considered yet? Drop your wildest, most unhinged theories in the comments below, because I need to know. I am not the only one losing sleep over this Phoebe paternity mystery.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.